Is there, and a good day to have you back, Jules, because we saw keep reporting that Neymar will never play for PSG.
And that's the thing. I mean, what we know for sure is that nothing has changed since last week or the week before or 3 weeks ago or a month ago, is that he wants to leave the club. PSG are very happy to sell him and to get rid of him. And that Barcelona, where he wants to go back, would like him back. The problem is right now they have to work out if they can really afford him and how they can afford him, and do they have to sell first before putting a bid in to PSG for Neymar, and what kind of form that bid will take. Cash plus players, only cash, only players, whatever form. But right now there's nothing. There's not even a discussion, not a dialogue between the two clubs. So right now Neymar is a PSG player, whether he likes it or not, whether Paris or Barcelona like it or not. He's there in China with the rest of the team, but for sure he doesn't want to play for them again anymore. But he might have to if there's no offers on the table.
You see that Barca have splashed the cash a lot already this summer. It's working out the accounts as to whether or not they can get Neymar through the door as well. From a player's perspective, what's it like when you're in that situation where a player's come out, says he wants to leave? How would you treat him?
It depends on him. If his attitude is still professional, and he's still giving everything when you step on the field and in training, then you don't really have a problem with it. The problem that arises when somebody takes a foot off the gas, is moping around, is making it miserable for everybody else, then it becomes a huge problem. So this is all down to the professionalism of Neymar. Unfortunately, half the problem and half the reason he wants to go back to Barcelona is because he hasn't been professional. That's half the problem. So I'm not sure what we can expect.
How would you treat him, Shaq? Given everything that he said?
No, differently. I say that, again, in full agreement with Steve. As long as his relationship with the other members of the dressing room remains the same, I don't think that dynamic changes at all. And as much as this is making headlines and is world news, players within a dressing room are always dealing with something. It's speculation about somebody coming in or somebody going out or somebody not happy about a contract or renegotiating, which oftentimes does not make back pages and is never discussed in forums such as these. But these are things that you deal with every single day, and it just becomes part and parcel of your job.
It's amazing. Liverpool recently have had two similar situations with Coutinho and Suarez, who wanted to go, but were asked to stay another 12 months, and nothing changed. The performances were just as good, the relationship with the team was as good, the relationship with the club. So it can work. It just depends on the individual.
Jules, you can see certainly in those pictures that his teammates seem okay with it. I imagine the PSG fans, he must be enemy number one at the moment, isn't he?
Yes, that's the other problem, in a way, in this very complicated situation, is because, especially with his recent comments, remember a few weeks ago when he said that his best memory ever in football was the famous remontada with Barcelona against PSG. That obviously didn't go down well at all with the Paris fans, because they felt humiliated. They felt that on purpose he answered that answer to show how much, not much respect he has for the club, and make a point that he wanted to go, and that was very much highlighting that point. So that also, whether he needs to do some work to sort of consolidate his relationship with the dressing room and with Thomas Tuchel or with Leonardo, the sporting director, but probably the most work he has to put in will be to rebuild that relationship with the fans as well, because right now it's pretty much rock bottom.
In an ideal world, Barcelona, of course, would put Coutinho and some money to PSG to get Neymar. But as Mundo Deportivo sums it up, basically Coutinho caught in the jam at the moment because no one is interested in the Brazilian. This doesn't seem like it's going to move particularly quickly either, Jules.
No, and that's not really true about Coutinho, to be fair, because Leonardo has said to Barcelona that Paris would be interested in Coutinho if Barca come up with a bid that includes Coutinho and money and another player, that sort of deal. They will be listening. They will be interested. But Barca haven't moved at all yet. So Paris can't do anything about Coutinho, because Paris will never buy Coutinho just like this. You know, if they get Coutinho, it's part of the Neymar deal. But if Barcelona don't offer anything, whether that's Coutinho or not Coutinho, or not money, PSG can't do anything about it. So PSG are waiting. They're waiting for Barcelona to move, but they're also saying to Barcelona, listen, there will be a point where, let's say mid-August, where we don't want to hear anything anymore because we would have to make our mind up, and then Neymar will stay if we can't sell him. So Barcelona, they are the one who have to move first, and they have to move pretty quickly now.
You saw Coutinho firsthand at his best, Stevie, at Liverpool. Are you surprised that people aren't using that as more as an example as to why they should be coming in for him?
No, because you're only as good as your last game, and he's been disappointing at Barcelona. There's no question. And clearly, Barcelona, I think, have decided they want the money back. So who's going to pay that amount of money? He was overpriced to start with, and he's had a torrid. So why would anybody go out their way to offer silly money for him? And certainly, why would they not try and get him on the cheap? That's what I don't understand.
The thing is, when Coutinho moved to the Camp Nou a couple of seasons ago, just after Neymar moved on himself, that threw the entire transfer market into total disarray. And everybody who moved that summer, the prices were inflated.
Yeah.
Now things are settling back down. Unless we're talking about Neymar, Messi or Ronaldo, things are finding some normalcy. Still a little bit inflated as to where they started off a couple of seasons ago, but there's some normalcy. I know, absolutely right. Coutinho will not command that kind of price tag again. Even a good Coutinho. And the trouble is, we've not seen a good Coutinho for a couple of seasons.
Al golf a la misma hora que el Madrid estaba jugando contra el Tottenham, si se confirma, ¿a usted le molestaría?
Bueno, veremos cuándo vamos a volver, pero bueno, yo no voy a impedir a alguien hacer una cosa, ¿sabes? Cada uno tiene que hacer tiene sus responsabilidades, cada uno, y bueno, veremos lo que ha hecho en Madrid. Su vida personal, yo no voy a entrar en eso. Nosotros se ha quedado ahí para entrenar. Yo creo que el entrenamiento lo ha hecho y después veremos por el resto.
So Bale back at training today. Big deal?
Depends. If he hasn't travelled with the team because he's injured or he has an injury, then yes, it's an absolute and utter
But it was a
no-no.
psychological thing, wasn't it? I think that's why he said he didn't travel. That was the word that came out of the club, that he wasn't in the right man.
Then if playing golf psychologically helps Gareth Bale, then it helps the club as well. So I don't have a problem with it.
No.
The only reason is if he has any sort of injury at all, it's a complete no-no. Otherwise, whose business is it but Gareth Bale's?
Anything Gareth Bale does now is going to be news, or doesn't do, as the case may be. As long as he's in Madrid, in agreement with the club, and they know that, and the circumstances, as Stevie points out, isn't that he's injured or he can't do certain things, and what he does with his private time is up to him.
Jules, as someone who knows Zidane well, how do you think he is feeling internally about having to continuously answer questions about Gareth Bale?
I think there's a lot of frustration for Zinedine to keep being asked the same question about Bale, and also the Bale situation not moving. I think it was very clear when he came back, and especially at the start of the summer when the transfer market opened, that he wanted Bale to be sold or to leave Real Madrid, and that's still not the case. And I think the problem that Zidane has with him is that Zidane wants a very good dressing room where everybody gets on, everybody is passionate, there's that sort of mentality there. And Gareth Bale right now, I'm not sure if mentally he's really in the right place to be a member of that dressing room. I'm not sure right now he really wants to play a lot of football. I'm not sure he really wants to be competitive. And I think there's a lot of question mark over where his mind really is right now. And I think that's the problem. And the fact that Zidane and Bale don't talk, I think that the fact that Zidane and Jonathan Barnett, Bale's agent, don't talk either, is also an issue. The Chinese transfer market closed yesterday or the day before yesterday, which is a problem. The one in England closes in a week's time, and it's really hard to see now where Bale is going to go. And if he doesn't go anywhere, then it will be a season where he's not going to play at all.
Jules, more on Bale in a moment. Stuart Robson on the show has a couple of times said he thinks Zidane will be gone in a couple of months. Maybe not because he'll get sacked. Maybe he'll just walk away or just have enough of all of this. He wanted Paul Pogba. He wanted Bale gone. He wanted James gone. He's working with a squad of players that he didn't necessarily want to inherit. Could you foresee that actually happen? Could Zidane, we've seen him walk away before, obviously under much better circumstances, but do you think that could happen once again if we see a bad start to the season?
I don't think so personally, because if you also look at the signings, pretty much all of them are Zidane's. I mean, Ferland Mendy is Zidane's. He wanted Hazard, he got Hazard. He wanted Jovic, he got Jovic. This is very much his squad, and I think James Rodriguez is going to leave. And whether Bale stays or not, Zidane doesn't care. I mean, he doesn't care. If he stays, then he's never going to play. So that's not going to be a problem for Zidane. Pogba is the last one of the list that he gave to Florentino Perez that he really wanted. So Zidane still believes that could happen. And we saw, for example, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who is also a client of Mino Raiola, like Paul Pogba, coming out and saying, if Pogba doesn't want to be somewhere, you should let him go. You should. And clearly, you could. I think in terms of media work, Mino Raiola and all these people are going to be very, very strong in the next few weeks now to try to make the deal of Pogba to Real Madrid happen. Whether that will happen or not, it's a different matter. But I think Zidane still believes that Pogba can be a Real Madrid player at the end of the summer, and then he will have exactly the squad that he wanted when he came back in March.
Meanwhile, former Real Madrid manager John Toshak had some things to say about Bale. Before we show the quote, let's see the brilliant headlines. Bale's insult to Spain. But it's all about Tosh goes Baleistic. Ex-Wales boss slams at Gareth insult. This is what he had to say. Come out, Gareth. Do an interview. Speak yourself. You've been there 6 or 7 years now. You don't speak the language. That's an insult to the people you are working for. Music to Real Madrid fans' ears. Of course, they've been pleading for Bale to speak out for years. What do you make of this, Stevie?
To be honest, if I'm Gareth Bale, I'm not saying a word either. The truth is, Gareth Bale hasn't moved anywhere because of the money. Now, any player who comes out and says, I'm not going anywhere because of the money, is going to get lambasted by everybody.
Yep.
So Gareth Bale, actually, whether you like it or not, is doing the right thing by keeping that shut.
But the fact that he doesn't speak Spanish, does that really make a difference? If he was successful and banging in 30 goals a season, no one would care. No one would give a hoot, would they? They don't speak Spanish?
No, nobody would. Nobody would. But at the same time, if you don't learn the language, I agree with Toshak and him saying that, you then feel, as a fan, you feel a little bit slighted. I don't
know, but like Kun Aguero, for example, how many times have you heard him speak English? How many times has he done poetry?
But to the point, he's banging in goals. And that's my point. If you're banging in goals, you can get away with a lot more. When you're not, and you're no longer in that honeymoon period, or you're not contributing as you are, then fans pick up on anything to have fault with, or to find fault with. And not being able to speak the language, again, for me, for a player who quite clearly, doesn't seem all that bothered about contributing to the club, again, it's just another thing that rubs me the wrong way.
Finally, Jules, because I think you're going on holiday again soon, maybe even tomorrow.
Yeah,
let's get this done, shall we?
What?
I know, what's going on. When it comes to the close of the Premier League transfer window next week, Gareth Bale, any chance he can move to anywhere in England?
No.
Are you sure?
That is definitive. That would have taken Gab 5 minutes to explain.
Exactly.
Extra time available on YouTube as always. Yesterday's extra time got a little feisty. Be sure, isn't it, really, when you take a look at these games? They haven't won one since 2015. That was against Spurs. Hercules Gomez is joining us. Herc, you think Atleti didn't really field their first team? Have we got to a point where we need to discuss whether or not this all-star game should happen?
Yeah, I think we're there. And it's not so much a question, Dan, of talent, but of cohesion. And I'm sure many of you would agree with me. When you have a team that already has a tried and tested tactic, they know each other. You have new guys who are coming into the system trying to win a spot against guys who, quite frankly, are there maybe 48 hours before the game. They're taking it as very easy going. They know they're going to play probably 20 to 30 minutes. Their main goal is to try to put on a little bit of a show, but not get injured. Where the opposition competition, they're working towards something. This is their preseason game. They're trying to work towards that fitness. They're trying to work towards that cohesion, that strength, that nucleus of really getting their season going. And a few of those guys, like Rodrigo Riquelme, Manu Sanchez, players like Joao Felix who wants to impress, they're trying to earn a spot. Even an Hector Herrera. It's much different for the MLS All-Stars. You saw Zlatan, Ibrahimovic, he's off the 25th minute. Joseph Martinez never really got going. Carlos Vela hardly touched the ball. The best player on the field in the first half was Wayne Rooney, and he was playing in a deep line position that we haven't seen him play in quite some time. So it is going to be a bit rough to watch at times. That said, I do enjoy the All-Star game, but it needs to change. I didn't enjoy seeing Atleti Field there, second-tier players, for an event of this magnitude for MLS. I'd like to see the format change, and whether that means East versus West, whether that means Americans versus foreigners and then Major League Soccer, or if that means Liga MX versus MLS, I'm all for it.
Why do MLS keep pushing this, though, Hurt?
Because it keeps selling, Dan. That's why. Because money talks. And anytime you can get a team like Atletico and that type of brand, and you go to any stadium and you're promising them Diego Simeone, you're promising Diego Costa, you're going to promise them Joao Felix, it's going to sell. It doesn't matter if they put in their second team. I mean, there was a weather delay yesterday during that game. Quite frankly, I thought it was going to be another hour and a half to that game played. The people were still there. They were waiting for this team. They were waiting to see the MLS All-Stars. As long as these things keep selling, like Leagues Cup, like Campeones Cup, like any other tournament, Champions League and CONCACAF, as long as they keep selling, they'll keep happening.
Did you change the format, Stevie? You managed 3 times? 3 MLS All-Stars?
Yeah, 2 at home and 1 away. I don't understand why everybody's looking at this game so seriously. This is to enjoy. This is, as a player, I would love to have played in a game like this.
Would you?
Yeah, well, actually, I did play in a game like this. The English League played against the Italian League Select. I enjoyed playing with other players in my league that I normally would play against. I really enjoyed it. And again, why is everybody taking this so serious? Of course, Atletico Madrid or Tottenham or MD should be beating MLS players 3 and 4-0 because they're 2 and 3 leagues above them. So what's the big hang-up on what the score is? It's about enjoying it. And by the way, yes, you can put it one way and say, well, it sells. But it wouldn't sell if people didn't enjoy going to it either.
Would you have enjoyed it as much as Stevie would?
I wouldn't have minded it playing against or playing with good players that I normally play against. It's a showcase event. I think the league.
But you're in a hiding to nothing, pretty much, aren't you?
Yeah, which is fine.
But from guys, you're competitive.
See, you're doing the same thing as I've been talking about. Why are you taking the scoreline so seriously? This is not about anything other than the All-Stars, which, by the way, the union won't allow this game not to play because there's a bonus involved in it for anybody who's in the squad.
Yeah.
So never mind the league, the players' union won't allow it to stop. But forgetting all that, it's enjoyable. We play football when we're kids because we love playing football. And I can assure you, when you get to the latter stages of your career, you don't enjoy it less. You actually start thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this for long.
So you wouldn't have minded last night? You wouldn't have minded running after Joao Felix halfway through a season?
Why would you not like to do that? Why would you not like to go and play against a bunch of guys in Atletico Madrid, real good players? Why would you not go and enjoy a game of football?
No, but it's interesting because you're someone who, for example, when it came to like the Charity Shield or the Intercontinental Cup, you said you didn't get the same sort of vibe for those sort of games as you did other matches.
No.
But then this sort of match you would enjoy.
Absolutely. And the reason I do is because I enjoy playing football.
Right.
End of story.
So why didn't you enjoy playing like a Charity Shield or an Intercontinental Cup?
You know, I guess a lot of that was probably down to the coaching staff and how it was deemed at our club. When I was at Liverpool, it was the league, it was the Champions League, well, the European Cup, the FA Cup. So the Charity Shield and the Intercontinental stuff was looked upon as a little chance to get a break, and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. So I guess when you're getting all that thrown at you all the time that it doesn't matter, when you go to play the game, it doesn't matter.
I think to Steve's point, part of the attraction of playing an all-star team is you play against the best players from your league that you'd normally play, or you play with the best players from your league that you'd normally play against. And as much as it doesn't matter, it's a different challenge than playing with your club, who you're there with year-round, in a game that, again, doesn't bear the significance that a league game does.
It actually brings a camaraderie to all the players in the league. I felt that as when I coached the All-Star team. The next time I played against anybody who had been in my All-Star team, or even the players in my team that had played with them, there was a completely different chemistry and camaraderie.
What do you make of what Steve's saying?
I understand what Steve's saying. I think more than anything, it's the recognition. You're one of the best in Major League Soccer, but I think these stakes are different for the Atletico players and the Major League Soccer players. I mean, what do you think Joao Felix and Diego Costa are thinking, and Coque and Saúl Ñíguez, when all of a sudden they see Brad Guzan with an earpiece, with an IFB attached to his head, and he's having a conversation, you know, doing interviews with the booth that's broadcasting this game? I think that's what, for them, the stakes are different. They understand they're playing towards something. Major League Soccer, they're trying to put on a show. They're trying to make the fans happy. But 20 to 30 minutes to get themselves going, to put themselves in a rhythm, to really try to put on a show, it's very difficult. I don't care what type of player you are, what type of level you're at.
Look, I'm not talking about that. Heck, I'm talking about it's fun, it's enjoyable. This is why we do it. It's not about, oh, it takes 20 minutes to get going, and how do they feel when he's got an earpiece in? Let me tell you, Joao Felix couldn't give a monkeys whether Emery had an earpiece in or not. He's going to go and play.
Because he's winning. He's trying to win an opportunity. He's trying to win a position, a spot. That's what I'm telling you, Steve.
Well, guess what? I'll tell you what, if I'm Joao Felix, I'm hoping every single player's running around with a microphone, and I could score lots of goals.
Playing these games is to
I'll go
not
and
get
keep
injured.
talking over me. There you go.
Do the players have the same sentiment as Stevie? I completely get what Stevie's saying, that you can just have some fun. Do the players embrace it as much as Stevie would?
I think it depends on said player. I was told Zlatan Ibrahimovic didn't even train the day before. He showed up late and he trained on his own account. I mean, every player is going to take it to a certain level of their own seriousness. And I agree with Stevie. Everybody enjoys competing. But I think the stakes are different for said player in Major League Soccer and Atletico. I'll tell you what, Sanabria, Manu Sanchez, Riquelme, Lodi, all those players, they're trying to win a position. They're trying to get in the good graces of Diego Simeone. I think it's much more different on the Major League Soccer side.
I don't think the opposition matters for these guys. And I will say that I was the coach of the All-Star team when Beckham played in it, and he loved every single second of it.
To that point...
He finally had a decent coach. I think that was one.
Well, there you go. I didn't want to say that. Absolutely.
To that point, I understand what Herc is saying. You do want to see the likes of Zlatan for more than 20 or 30 minutes. But I think the issue is here that people are taking these games as an opportunity to further validate MLS and its standing in the World Leagues, which I do not understand.
That's the issue right there, yes.
For the life of me, I don't understand why everybody and every discussion around MLS is, well, where would it fare in one of Europe's big leagues? Can the players from this league... and that comparison and that need for self-validation is beyond me. And I don't get it, and that is the issue here for those who are trying to draw those parallels.
Hercules Gomez, thank you very much. It was made official today, £72 million as Arsenal smash their previous record when it comes to transfers. Nicolas Pepe making the move from Ligue 1 to the Premier League. A lot of people excited about this move. A lot of people have never seen him play. Julien Laurent, you've actually witnessed him play and can tell us a little bit about him and whether or not he's worth that money.
It's a lot of money, that's for sure. And I've seen him play a lot last season and the season before and the one before as well. The talent is amazing. The potential is great. There's no doubt about that. He's 24. There's still room for improvement. But he's never played abroad. He's not even played in a European competition before. No Champions League, no Europa League. So that is the unknown. However, on the talent and what we've seen in Liga in the last 2 seasons especially, he's a wonderful talent. He's left-footed but plays as an inverted winger on the right-hand side. He's strong, he's physical, he's very quick, he's got loads of skills, his touch is great, he scores goals, he assists goals as well. He really has everything, and Arsenal, the way they play with the manager they have, will be perfect for him to continue his progression and keep improving and keep developing. However, there will be a time where he will have to adapt and learn about a new culture, a new country, and everything. But on paper, it looks like a great coup for Arsenal because loads of bigger European clubs were after him as well.
Who would you compare him to, Jules?
It's hard because it's a very unique profile. Because usually wingers, especially with that kind of skills and pace, are usually shorter than him. But he's 1.83 meters. He's a big boy. He's quite strong from the upper body, and he has that pace. And he has that amazing left foot, really, with the skills and the touches and all of that. He's also very creative, and has improved massively in the last 2 seasons in his decision making of when to pass, when to shoot, when to cross, etc. And that's made him the best player in Ligue 1 last season, who was not called Kylian Mbappe. And that says a lot about how well he did really back home last year. It's a different league, it's a different team, and for sure he will take nothing for granted. But I think he has all the ability to do very well for Arsenal and in the Premier League as well.
Putting my Steve Nicol hat on, will he track back? Will he defend? Will he help out?
He will have to anyway. This is not, he did it at Lille a bit, and they were playing in a 4-2-3-1 formation that suited him very well. And he had a very good right back behind him, Celik, and them two got on so well. And he had very, very hard-working defensive midfielders as well. So that worked very well. This is different, though. I think he will have to understand very quickly that this is a step higher, that, he will have to work harder, do more effort, be even better on the ball, be more clinical, be more decisive, be more efficient. All of that he will have to be, because now he's worth 80 million euros and he plays in a much better club and a much bigger league than what he did before. So in answer to your question, he will have to anyway. And he's a very clever kid, and he's a shy kid, but he's a very hard-working, clever kid. And I think he will learn very quickly what he has to do now.
So, that deal done. There's a lot of speculation about the future of Leroy Sané moving to Bayern Munich. That speculation, of course, was fuelled by the Bayern's coach, Niko Kovac, coming out and saying, Leroy is a great footballer. I am very confident. I assume we can get it done. Now, this was Sunday. This was Tuesday. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge not happy with his coach, saying, I did not like that statement. I make no secret of it. Neither optimistic nor pessimistic statements will help the cause. Kovac then replying to that, saying, I might have been a bit too outspoken. I not only want to apologise to Pep, but to Manchester City. I always tell the truth. What I said stands. It's verified. And then today, we had Kicker saying that Bayern are very close to signing Sané for 100 million euros, although Bayern released a statement regarding that report, saying news reports made today saying that Leroy Sané has decided to join FC Bayern do not correspond to the facts. Jules, Bayern are making a right old mess of this, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think he says a lot of the relationship between Rummenigge and Kovac as well. And we know that Uli Hoeneß and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge don't really see eye to eye in terms of Niko Kovac. This one has been in the pipeline for so long now. For weeks, he's been linked with them. There have been talks. There have been offers from Bayern to City. City rejecting an 80 million euros offer not so long ago because they wanted closer to the 100 million. I think it will happen, and Bayern will sign him, and it will be a great signing for him, and I think it would be very good for him to go back home as well to Germany. But there's no reason for Rummenigge and Kovac to argue like that publicly in the media, because that doesn't reflect well on either of them and on the club.
Isn't that weird? Public spat over this.
Yeah, well, it's Rummenigge's flexing his muscles. That's all it is. I mean, there's not a person who's interested in the game of football in the world doesn't know that Bayern are trying to sign Leroy Sané.
Yep.
There's not a person. So this is all about somebody trying to get one up on the other, and Rummenigge's trying to do that with Kovac.
I think it's more a case that Bayern Munich want to keep this deal, or the aspects of it, as quiet and do it as professionally as possible.
Well,
everybody knows.
No, it's not. But it's not coming from them. And once Kovac opens his mouth and this now becomes an official statement from Bayern Munich, given his role with the club, it then, given the delicacy of the deal, it then becomes a little bit problematic.
Speaking of problematic, Frank, that's Xhaka riding a horse. Check it out over on our YouTube channel. NWSL action continues on Friday. Houston Dash taking on Seattle Reign. That game live on ESPN News at 7 p.m. Eastern. Jules, FIFA announced today that the Women's World Cup will be expanded to 32 teams next time round. A lot of debate about whether or not this is a good or a bad thing. Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I mean, the World Cup that just finished in France was such a success that you can see why FIFA are trying to, to surf on that wave and expand it and try to develop women's football a bit more. You could also argue that you already have seen in the last World Cup that went to 24 teams that there was a lot of differences between some of the teams, not just the USA Thailand 13-0 one in the group stages, but others as well. And putting that to 32 might be a bit too early in the development of women's football and how young some national teams are still in the game. So personally, I would have waited a little bit more and maybe gone to the next World Cup after the next one then. But FIFA clearly jumping a bit quicker and thinking that there's actually enough talented teams to make it 32 teams World Cup and still keeping it very interested, because that's at the end of the day what matters the most.
Cynically, you could also add more games, more money as well to that.
Yeah. I have to say, though, the women's game is young in relative terms as compared to the men's. And as much as there's a huge disparity between the bigger nations and the smaller ones, I think this is the only way to grow the women's games. So the women's game globally. So there will be more lopsided games, but I'm in favour and I think it's needed. We will end the show with something completely different. It's not even football. Well, it is football, but of the American kind. This is brilliant. If you haven't seen this, this is the kids looking to run out.
Now look at the coach. Look at the coach.
That way.
Oh, look at the coach.
It's just chaos right from the start. One goes down and they all go around.
Oh,
isn't that brilliant?
That is good.
We had to show you that. I know, get the old Shaka laugh going. It's fantastic.
That's a good way to end it.
Yeah, that's it. Should we do that every day?
Yeah.
Something that isn't soccer.
I laugh like that every day.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks to Jules as well. Back tomorrow for more. Until then, goodbye. Welcome into Extra Time. In case you missed yesterday's show, we had quite a debate on Extra Time regarding whether or not
you two did. You two had a debate.
About whether or not Ronaldo deserved to be in the top 10. You said he didn't.
I didn't say that. See, he started again.
You keep me out of this. I am out of that.
You said he didn't.
You started that.
Well, that's what you said anyway.
If you say so.
And then we got into a discussion about, I thought you said he was lucky to be there. And you said that's not the same as saying he shouldn't be there.
Correct. I said lucky and you said shouldn't. And you said they were the same thing.
Well, I said they insinuated the same thing, which is why our first tweet is, are we lucky to have Steve on ESPN or should we expect to have him? Are you lucky to be here, Stevie?
I'm very lucky to be in the company of two fine young gentlemen like yourself.
I haven't been called a young gentleman for a very long time.
You're younger than me, I can assure you.
Thank you, Stephen.
I was in splits the way you wound up Stevie yesterday. Also, in my opinion, both Hazard and Ronaldo deserve to be there. Alisson or Bernardo Silva ahead of Salah, maybe, though. Oh. That's a good point.
Do you know, it's this list is really unfair to a lot of players. You know, because some players are lucky that they play for a Liverpool or a Barcelona who are at the top of the tree.
Right.
You know, I'm sure there are players in the top leagues who do just as much, if not more, than what some of the so-called names have done, that never get a mention. So I think the problem is it's who votes.
Right.
And it's such a mix that I can tell you that well, I can't tell you, but I'm going to assume that a lot of people who can vote on this probably don't take too much time thinking about it and just tick a box.
Say you had a vote, Alisson, Salah, Bernardo Silva. In which order would they go in their performances last season?
I would go Alisson, Bernardo Silva, Salah.
Right.
That's the order I would go.
So Salah wouldn't be on your top 10 list?
Well, you only gave me 3.
No, that's true. But Alisson or Bernardo Silva are on there.
Correct.
They're on that list, but they're not on the real list.
Correct.
Jules, I'm supposed to ask you a question. I'm not quite sure what it was. What was you want me to ask, Jules? Something about the list. Who should win it all?
Well, Jules, ask him who. As far as I know, it's coaches and captains around the world, right? Is that right? How many?
Is that the Ballon d'Or?
Is that the... Jules will know.
This is the best we're talking about, Jules. Who votes for the best?
I think Stevie's right. I think Stevie's right. Is head coaches and captains of the national teams, no?
No, you know what I take from that?
I think
Jews don't have a clue either. Jews have a clue.
Jules, where did you go on holiday?
I went to Ile de Ré, which is a small island of La Rochelle on the Atlantic coast. It was lovely. Thank you very much.
So I don't know where the Atlantic coast is. I don't know where La Rochelle is. And what was the name of the place?
Wait, Steve, you know where the Atlantic coast is?
Well. Oh, where is the Atlantic
I'm speechless,
coast?
Stevie.
Well, where is it?
Have a guess.
Oh, don't tell me the Atlantic.
Yes!
Well, whereabouts that?
No, Stevie, stop it!
You'll have to come
I
next time.
spent a lot of time thinking about the Atlantic coast, have I? Are you alright? What? I've probably flown over it a couple of times.
Just explain the geography, Jules.
So, Stevie, France has a few seas and oceans, alongside the coast. So you've got the North Sea at some point, and then the Channel at some point, and then you've got all the west side of France down the Atlantic coast. So from Brittany all the way down to the Spanish border, and then you've got the Mediterranean Sea on the other side, towards Corsica and Italy and stuff. And I went Atlantic coast, so west of France.
There you go.
I knew that. I was watching World War II last week. It was the Battle of the Atlantic. Of course I knew what it was.
Right. So why is it called the Atlantic coast?
No idea.
Stephen, stop it! Stop it! Oh dear.
Well, why is it called the French Riviera? I don't know why they call it that. I just know that's the name of it.
Oh dear.
Goodness me.
What's the name of the ocean, Stevie?
God.
Which one?
The one that's off France.
There's a lot of different ones,
There's
isn't
only
there?
one.
There's a lot of different. What are you talking about? The Pacific?
Why does Jules hate Man United? There we go. Welcome back.
Oh, goodness.
I don't hate Man United at all.
Why does it say that? I never got that impression that Jews hate Man U.
No.
No.
Pepe was the most dispossessed player last year in Ligue 1, Jules. Is he the new Richarlison?
Hold on.
he's
Somebody
not the new-
really
but
kept
it's
that
true.
stat.
Of course, everyone keeps every stat.
Whose responsibility
That
is it to
makes
count
sense.
how many times you get dispossessed?
The statisticians.
Opta.
They don't keep that stat.
Why they do? They keep every other
They
stat.
shouldn't. They wasted people's time
Right.
keeping that stat.
Right, well, let's ask Jules.
Okay, that's Jules.
Yeah, no, it's a true stat actually, there's a lot of stats also on the other hand. He's one of the top 5 best dribblers in the league as well, and I think he was the second most foul player. So he loses the ball a lot, and his first touch could do with some improvement. There's no doubt, but Mo Salah loses the ball a lot as well, and he's still one of the best players in the Premier League. So it'd be interesting to see how quickly he adapts to the pace and the physicality of the Premier League, for sure. And there were a lot of things that he could have done better, even back in Ligue 1 last season. And that's one of them, working on that first touch, on not losing the ball too easily, I would say.
Jules,
but
I've got
there
a
were so
question
many
for
things
you.
that he did much better than that.
Jules, I've got a question for you, right? Shaq and I were talking earlier.
Get ready, Jules. Here we go.
I certainly haven't seen anywhere near the amount of this guy as you have. But I said to Shaq earlier, I'm not sure he's one of those that, when he's running with it, and he always seems as though he's taking people on, and he's running with the ball at his feet, but I couldn't make my mind up whether he's actually in control of it or whether he's going past people because he's not quite sure where it is either.
Yeah, I think his balance on the ball is fantastic. It really is, and maybe because he's such a big guy, he's over
tall.
6 foot, and for a winger, it's like we were saying on the show earlier, it's quite unusual. Usually, those kind of wingers with a lot of skills and pace are are shorter than that, and maybe that's the illusion you have when you watch him. And you're right, actually, that sometimes he doesn't really look in control of the ball or even in control of his own body. But I think it's more because of the size he is and how well he does on the ball and how skillful he is on the ball.
Jules, best guess on how much playing time Pulisic will get at Chelsea? Will he mostly come off the bench?
No, I don't think so. I think he's typically the kind of players that Lampard will like having in his team, and we saw that against Salzburg the other day, where he fitted exactly the game plan that Lampard had, and the 2 goals he scored on that night, the penalty that he got as well, with it's just how quick he is on the ball and how quick his runs are and the way he calls the ball and everything. I think that would be perfect for what Lampard wants to do at Chelsea. So I can see him playing a lot. I can see him, because he's so intelligent, adapting very quickly as well to what the Premier League is and what Lampard wants him to do and everything. And I think we should be quite optimistic and quite positive about him arriving at the club.
He'll start the season. Mm-hmm. He's had a great pre-season so far with Chelsea. And as much as we've talked about how players have played too much,
yep,
he's actually benefited from playing in the Gold Cup. So he's actually ahead of most other people, which you can see so far in what he's done.
Final question, shepherd's pie related, cottage pie, wherever we stand these days. Where do you stand on sauce with shepherd's pie, Stevie? Robson said he used brown sauce, but surely Worcester is the winner here. PS pro tip, add a little cheese and grill the top for the final 5 minutes.
Yes. Oh, definitely put the cheese on the top.
Final 5 minutes?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
No, look
Big
at this.
Time.
Oh.
Big time. It's tomato sauce, but I'll tell you what, Raggy is spot on.
Yeah, but you go tomato over Worcester or brown?
Correct.
No, surely you add the Worcester in to the meat when you're cooking it. You don't add it after.
No.
As a condiment.
No. Jules, where do you stand on shepherd's pie, cottage pie? We spend a lot of time talking about it.
I don't get the whole sauce thing. Cottage pie and shepherd's pie are good enough without sauce. Why would you add Worcester, which is disgusting, by the way?
Ooh, that's harsh.
Wow.
So he hates Man United and he hates
Worcester sauce.
And Worcester sauce.
Wow, didn't know. You find out sometimes
and
about people on this show.
Also, mint sauce or raspberry sauce or whatever you call it, raspberry jam with your roast dinner? Come on. This is an insult to the roast dinner.
Cranberry sauce?
Cranberry. Thank you, Shaka.
No, but turkey and cranberry sauce, that's a match made in heaven.
That should never be allowed. That doesn't even go together.
Whoa,
Jules,
wow.
Jules, what about mint sauce?
Wow.
Is mint sauce allowed?
No, it's not even. I'm not sure what's worse, cranberry or mint sauce.
I love a cranberry sauce.
So, Jules hates Man U and all sauces.
All sauces.
Doesn't matter.